If he was winning, he'd be in Kyiv. If he was winning, he'd be west of the Dnieper River. If he was winning, he'd be on Odessa. If he was winning, he would have changed the government. Russia is, in fact, losing this war.
I would like to thank you for participation.
Надеюсь, это было полезно.
I hope it was useful
С профессиональной точки зрения.
from the professional point of view.
А с точки зрения установления такого высокого уровня доверия между нашими странами, это точно полезно.
From the point of view of high level of confidence and friendship between the countries, it's 100%
Спасибо за приглашение.
Очень рад, что вы отозвались на наше приглашение. Хочу неспроста слово европейском регионе. Ну, как видите, налаживается диалог с нашим политическим руководством. Хотелось бы, чтобы вы тоже объективно посмотрели, дали объективную оценку, вводили наши мероприятия. Они, к сожалению, немножко обросли различными ситуациями. Очень рад, что вы смогли нашли возможности.
Ну, спасибо опять за приглашение.
Спасибо. Поэтому самые лучшие места, вы сами предоставили для наблюдения. Все, что интересует, все показано. Что хотите, куда хотите, можете пройти, посмотреть, пообщаться.
Хорошо. Спасибо опять. До свидания. Спасибо.
Well, hello, that's me again. Today is September 16th, 2025. It is what is it today? Tuesday, I guess. And what you see in the beginning are some snippets, if you wish. And of course, crowning all that are the strategic, basically, thoughts of Mr. Kellogg, who is, as I already stated, in Russia, the term American general has become a meme, as I explained many times, as used to be British scientists. I will not go there into the nature of those memes, but this is the guy who is completely embroiled into the corruption scheme. His family is directly profiting from sending all kinds of weapons to Ukraine, and as such, he continues to embarrass American officer corps. And then again, you know what, in some sense, the top brass of United States Army is pretty much along the same lines as Mr. Kellogg. But as I already stated, I don't even know where to start with the whole thing. And after Mr. Kellogg's piece, obviously, which is complete embarrassment for the US Army, I don't know, you cannot shut him up, you know, that's what is so beautiful about United States. You can, you know, freedom of speech, you can go out and present yourself as a clown, as most of the US generals present themselves nowadays. But the point is that Russia conducts Zapad-2025, they're called West 2025 strategic exercises together with the, well, part of it of the Belarusian army or armed forces. And as you can see yourself, also there are observers, including from the American side. This is the first in a long time, and usually for people who begin to scream the bloody murder, I have to make some explanations for you before we go any further, and I explain the nature of those strategic exercises, which, while being called Zapad or the West, in reality they cover pretty much most of the fleets of Russia, and including, of course, the Pacific Fleet. And so it's more complex than just merely, you know, the demonstration of some kind of the military capability on the Western strategic axis. No, it's more than that. But the point is that American officers also are present there, and you saw yourself that Vladimir Putin also speaks to the representative of the foreign delegations. And before anybody goes, and there will be, I'm forestalling immediately, all kinds of those, tough guys who are ready to go to the World War III. Strategic exercises, always, before recent events, which we all know, relatively recent events, they have been always, the part of those exercises is the invitation of the foreign delegations, observers. And here's what and that's what the defense minister of Republic of Belarus, Mr. Khrenin, tells to his American colleagues. He says that, yeah, sure, we can show you whatever you want, and they do show them actually the joint exercises of Russian ground and Belarusian ground units. But I already had this issue raised by one of members of my discussion boards, and it's a legitimate issue when they were reacting to Mr. Lukashenko saying that we will decide, we will do this and that, and when he talks about that, about military capability. Like, for example, Russians do have some units which are stationed in Belarus, and most importantly, they do have nuclear weapons, and they do have such systems like Oreshnik, which are actually placed in Belarus or deployed to Belarus. And Mr. Lukashenko, when he talks about we can use this and that, I have news. And this is what many people do not understand. While Mr. Lukashenko, obviously, he thinks himself a greatest politician of all time, you wouldn't believe it's a whole separate issue. I don't want to open this can of worms. But Belarus, while incredibly important part of the what is called the Union State, together with Russia. And Belarusian armed forces are definitely not in the same league as Russian armed forces, to put it mildly. And Mr. Lukashenko has no operational or strategic access to any Russian formations, or let alone weapons, let alone nuclear weapons, which are deployed in Belarus. And people say, oh yeah, if there is a Union State, and Russia will have to go and support Belarus if Belarus is attacked. Absolutely, it's gonna be immediately the use of up to the nuclear weapons if something stupid like this happens. But for those people who do not know who Mr. Lukashenko is, let me give you some insights into this. Belarus still didn't recognize Crimea. So this is that type of the unified state, so they love to get the privileges from Russia, but not much in terms of return. They do return something, make no mistake. There are some very positive economic integration going on, and but policy-wise, Mr. Lukashenko, he wants a lot of credit for what he never have done. And so when we talk about it, so yes, it's a joint exercise, but you have to understand it is driven by the armed forces of Russia, and interest of the foreign delegations and observing what is happening, especially against the background of the special military operation, is tremendous. They want to see what is going on there, and as you can see yourself, all kinds of things were happening, and as those videos demonstrate to you, Russians have been using this, all kinds of things, including the combined strikes from aviation to operational tactical missile systems, to nuclear-powered submarines, to combined anti-shipping cruise missiles against the foreign or enemy ships. So yeah, it's a serious exercise. So make no mistake, things are really, really serious there. But that's what many people begin to notice. And good Lord, look at this. There is a scream of the Times, no less. Look at that. I mean, the London Times, and England is so important, United Kingdom is so important. So suddenly the Times, the London Times, India crossed red line by joining Russia-Belarus war games. Narendra Modi has sent troops to take part in the Zapad exercises, rehearsing conflict with neighboring NATO countries as relations with the US unravel. Well, I mean, that's correct. I mean, they are unraveling with the West for a simple reason that the West doesn't understand that, including including United States, obviously, which is the main basically issue between India and United States, which United States, Mr. Trump, wants to tariff or impose tariffs on India for buying Russian oil, and we already know what kind of the basically damage has been done to the Indian American relations. But the point is, India is the part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It is an incredibly important part of BRICS, and it's only natural that India, which also is a recipient, major recipient of the Russian military technology, would be interested in partaking in some experiences of the special military operation. And so it is not just that, time still laments. I mean, they cannot, they cannot really take it anymore. And so they say that about 30,000 Russian and Belarusian soldiers are conducting the Zapad exercise, which includes ballistic missiles launches and simulated airstrikes, blah 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 blah. The Indian Defense Ministry said it has dispatched 65 personnel, including elements of the Kumaon regiment, one of the army's most revered units there. So yeah, and you can see yourself that there are American officers, there are officers from elsewhere. And so what can I say? So yeah, look at this. Yeah. So BBC, yeah, for some reason, I will explain why British are lamenting and, focusing that much. Belarus and Russia show of firepower appears to be a message to Europe. Of course it is the message to Europe. It is the message to NATO. You just do some stupid thing, we can kill you conventionally. Russia can wipe out the whole Western civilization in a nuclear way. There was never doubt about it, except for the imbeciles. Obviously, this is a story by Steve Rosenberg, this scumbag from BBC. Oh my God, that's a whole other story who this guy is. So, and he, at least here, he describes what is going on there. And as you already saw the videos of this whole thing, very much interest, huge interest including from the American side. And here comes this interesting situation. Mr. Kotz, Alexander Kotz of the Komsomolskaya Pravda, he is, I don't like the guy, I don't like any kind of the types of basically correspondence or journalists, if you wish, of from this organization, but he actually reports that Britain officially took command of the Ukrainian troops. This is yesterday. The transfer of control over the war in Ukraine from Washington to London took place under the guise of creating a multinational forces Ukraine headquarters in Kiev. MNFU. A commander has already been appointed, a British 2-star officer. At the same time, France and the United Kingdom jointly provide a 3-star command of a higher level. The functions of the newly created headquarters are vaguely declared that defense keeps forces from all unified services for a wide range of unforeseen circumstances and blah 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 blah. So I have the news for you immediately that there is not a single 2, 3, 4, 155 star generals in France or United Kingdom who are up to a level of the chief of staff of the motor rifle brigade of Russian army. They are nincompoops. They are people who are highly unprofessional, and NATO has demonstrated it, especially British. One of the most magnificent British failures, and they do, British Army, for all respect for heroic British soldiers and, immense contribution of the United Kingdom in the World War II. But we remember Market Garden, don't we? So, yeah, that was the part of this chiefs of staff work in that time. Now, we know that these were primarily British, with some part input of Americans, who killed 80,000 of the Ukrainian troops in Kursk. So, any kind of the appointing of any kind of command from France or Britain with it's not even as Doug McGregor says that the Lilliputian armies. There are no armies at all. I mean, there are no armies. There are singled out, separate, random formations such as Britain doesn't have even a brigade it can deploy. France army is a joke. Remove what is called the nuclear deterrent from France, and as I already stated many times before, they are not serious army, they are French army, okay? So everything you need to know. And you have those people, including American generals. I already showed you Kellogg in the beginning. You think so that, Kellogg is alone? No, the huge swath of the American top brass think like him. They are, I mean, militarily incompetent people. American generals never won anything in the last 80 years. And so, as the result, what do you expect? But it is understandable the operational level officers, those colonels, brigadier generals, they are very interested in attending Zapad 2025 and certainly learn something. British will not learn. And the reason they will not learn the same, it goes basically for the United States. They do not have proper military professional education structure in place. All those service academies, or all those, let alone academies in somewhere in France, or let alone Sandhurst, 44 weeks, basically the NCOs in Russia study more than British officers. The way they prepare officer corps is pathetic. As the result, those are rigid people who do not understand basic things in terms of grand strategy and strategy, how they interact. There is not a single strategist of any kind of the scale from basically Western civilization in the last, 100 years, let's put it this way. Yeah, everybody will talk about, oh, little heart, and yeah, sure, everybody were talking about new technological paradigms at that time. You know what, enough to remember Mr. Duher of Italy, who also thought that, yeah, aviation will rule everything. So, and when you take a look at it, and then you compare this to what is happening, for example, in the special military operation, let me give you a little bit of spread for today. And we can go take a look at today's tally. Today's tally is, well, you can see yourself, it's kind of, creeping up a little bit. This is today's numbers. It's more than 1,400, and it's primarily killed. As you can see yourself, yeah, the slaughter of the armor, whatever is left in the armed forces of Ukraine continues, and as you can see yourself, the only thing they can do is primarily shoot those UAVs at primarily civilian targets in Russia, pure terrorism. This is what the British Army is good at, and those MI6 and all those kind of people, sabotage, terrorism, basically the weapons of the weak. So that's what it will continue, because again, listen to me attentively, read my lips. There's not a single person in King's College or the General Staff College or in the British Army who understands how to fight modern war. Fact is, there are very few of them in Pentagon, and Pentagon dwarfs in terms of capability, backward as it is, whatever there is present in the British Army or United Kingdom Army and French. So there you go. But primarily, yeah, sabotage, trying to kill, assassinate people, things of this nature, mining the railroads, killing Russian civilians. They're good at it. That's, make no mistake. These are actually their SOBs, their slab bitches, of which are from Ukraine. So, and if we go and to our good friend Marat Khairulin and Colonel Popov, as you can see yourself, suddenly Zaporozhye, strategic axis, oh my gosh, look at that. It's basically lit up, essentially, and it becomes very active, and there are all kinds of things which are happening there when, especially the, so to speak, the hook. So from the north across Gulay Pole, as you can see yourself, this is Gulay Pole. The Gulay Pole is the one of those important junctures, nodes for the supply of the whatever is left of the Ukrainian forces there. And so, yeah, we can see what is going on, and pretty much it's, yeah, what can I say? It's self-evident, essentially. So, and against this special military operation background, we have suddenly things of their own, which is altogether funny. It's and it's funny kind of on the dual track. For starters, we will start with this. This is kind of tacit admission that of which I'm talking constantly, that essentially there well, it's 4 days ago from the Defense News, the Denmark picks French, Italian SMPT air defense system over Patriot. Well, we know how Patriot basically performed in special military operation, trying to defend whatever they were trying to defend. You remember all, obviously, the statement by first deputy commander of the Russian airspace forces that essentially, Patriot cannot defend itself. Forget about defending anything else. So Denmark, for some reason, decides to take the, order SMPT. Well, it's what SMPT is. It's Aster family missiles, and here they are writing about it. Ukraine has received at least 2 donated SMPT systems, which with at least 1 in use to defend Kiev area. They do not defend effectively Kiev area, we know this, and they suddenly begin to write, because they are Europeans. They for some reason think that militarily they can catch up now to what they lost already completely, which is the arms race. The war in Ukraine clearly demonstrates the need for modern ground-based air defense systems consisting of the multiple integrated systems that provide multiple layers of airspace protection. Danish Chief of Defense General Michael Hulgaard said in a statement. Well, really, it's basically Captain Obvious, but you know what? Denmark has no resources whatsoever to build any kind of system like this. Neither do Europeans as a whole, as the European Union or part of the European NATO. So then what is this SMPT? Denmark already scrambled to put together a medium-range air defense component drawing on 3 different systems. Kongsberg NASAMS, it's Frankenstein, which uses essentially the AIM-120 MRAM. It's basically performed extremely badly. 2 MBDA Mica systems and IRIS-T system from Germany deal defense. So, they can try, those systems, and generally the NATO weaponry sucks, honestly, between us boys and girls. And so the medium-range system being acquired will be part of the total final aid, the Minister of Defense said, with a choice for further medium-range components to be made between 1 or more systems from Kongsberg, MBDA and deal. And so they talk about something again. This means that we can achieve our goal of a comprehensive ground-based air defense capacity as quickly as possible. That's complete BS. You can't. And you cannot explain to the Chief of Staff of Danish Armed Forces what comprehensive ground-based air defense system and capacity is. They just don't understand. They don't have training. They don't have grasp of it. They saw something like Russian air defense system, whose effectiveness is in excess of 95%, but Europe simply doesn't have technology, expertise, or even the industrial capacity to do so. And so, in this case, they discard Patriot Pack-3, which sucks, honestly, in favor of the European systems, which suck also. So, but what do they do? So, what can they do? So, the system can manage, he talked about SMPT, about Aster 30. This is the old family of Aster missiles. Well, of course, some of them are more modern, like Aster 30, and they talk about that Aster 30 B1 or B1NT missiles, they could, 6 vertical launches, they can do in combination with short-range air defense systems using Mica or CAM-ER missile for self-protection in nearby targets. So they will try to copy Russian systems and Russian air defense. They will fail. Again, they do not have the technical expertise to develop world-class and overwhelming in its power air defense systems, which build themselves actually from space down to Earth. It's totally integrated vertical system, and so Europeans simply do not have it. And they will not have it. So, and they talk about the system is fitted with 360-degree active electronically scanned array radar, either from Theos or Leonardo, that can track missiles, aircraft, and ballistic threats. Each launcher can fire its 8 missiles in about 10 seconds, according to MBDA. Sure, you can take a look at how the Patriot also launches all those missiles before it's getting hit by either Iskander or, of course, hypersonic weapons such as Zircon or Kinjal. But, I mean, they will not be able to create anything which can counter this actually modern and in use systems. And so they talk about the Aster-30 missile, which weighs 450 kilograms with the length of 4.9 meters and is powered by a two-stage solid propellant rocket motor reaching a speed of Mach 4.5. Well, it's basically they describing things how the most of the missiles operate. But in order for you to counter the maneuvering hypersonic system, Aster-30 is just simply, it's using like the musket or arquebus from the 16th century, trying to shoot at the, well, missile. So there you go. But they decided to go European, which is, yeah, sure, let them. But this is not the only thing which is happening. Then suddenly we have the, and again, make no mistake, the average journal anywhere is a moron. Average so-called military expert from NATO today is largely, not all of them, are morons too. They do not understand what they are facing. However, as any pope, you know, and again, make no mistake, journalism and including the so-called military experts who are basically infestate the YouTube channel in all kinds of writings, most of them, they have no military background, they have no engineering background, they are all those guys who try to find those, you know, what remuneration, writing for all kinds of the outlets which are stuffed with nincompoops, and the same goes for YouTube. So here it is. We have now these guys. They can see only outward manifestations of something like military technology. What is popular today? What is the buzzword? Oh, drones. Okay, let's talk about drones. Well, here we are. So CNN, my gosh, oh, CNN, oh yeah, specialists in the drones. Look at their headline. US drone dilemma. Why the most advanced military in the world is playing catch up on the modern battlefield. I love this. So you cannot explain that United States is not the most advanced military in the world and is not even close. But again, you cannot explain to, for example, Kellogg or people like Keane or Petraeus why United States is actually military which is obsolete. It is stuck in 1990s. But again, you need to have the serious military background. You need to have a serious understanding of the technological paradigm we live in. But at least they understand, oh my God, why we're so advanced. And which, by the way, contradicts the whole phrase is self-contradictory. But okay, whatever. And so we have those guys from CNN lamenting that Russian invasion of Ukraine has spurred a flurry of evolution in drone warfare, so much so that the US, with one of the, okay, now it's not the most, with one of the most advanced militaries, well, that's more proper definition, more advanced militaries and defense industrial complex in the world found itself behind. Well, the United States found itself behind across the whole spectrum of the actually military affairs, and technology. It simply lost the arms race. And how I wrote 4 books on it. I can write probably another 4 books on it, why it is the case and why it will not be overcome. And so they say most American soldiers lack the know-how to fighting with unmanned systems. And while the US has excelled at building large expensive weaponry, that's the problem. United States knows only how to build expensive weaponry which doesn't work. But you cannot explain it again to some CEO from Raytheon or some top brass from Washington, from Pentagon, why it is so. They have been brought up on those fairy tales about the Cold War 1.0 and about World War II. In fact, militarily, most of them are really not good experts. They can only follow some things which are like looking at some tactical episode of the exercises such as Zapad or West 2025 and say, okay, here's note, here's the one of the UAVs flew, then the other armored vehicle moved to the left, this moved to the right, and then we have this kind of what the sectors of the fire covered. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that's good. You need to know that. What you need to know, you need to have a fundamental education and fundamental experience knowing what you study. American military doesn't know Russian military, period. It never knew. It lived in its own self, delusion of, for some reason, being the greatest thing ever. But Of course, yeah. And they talk about the fighter jets, tanks, precision-guided missiles. Here is the problem. I have news for people who think that the United States produces the precision-guided missiles. It's not even in the same universe in terms of quality, let alone quantity. Russia outproduces in terms of the high precision weapons the whole NATO combined, United States included, by the order of magnitude. You cannot explain it to those people. They do not understand it. So, but it is in many ways unprepared to quickly produce large quantities of small cheap systems like drones. Well, it depends. There are all kinds of drones. There are some drones which are cheap and others which are large. But then again, did they study real economy? No. There's not a single guy in CNN, Wall Street Journal, or in Pentagon who studied real economy. Mostly they study Wall Street and how much it costs, because their careers depend on that. That's how they make their living and their salaries, selling BS and, you know what, making money out of the thin air. You know, their capitalization, yeah. So, and here we have some Major General Kurt Taylor. This is not tomorrow's problem, this is today's problem. Major General Kurt Taylor, commander of the U.S. Army 1st Armored Division, told CNN that Army conference in Germany in July. And the first fight of the next war is going to involve more drones than any of us have ever seen. No, it's not only just drones, again, and listen again, he's Major General, I respect, he moved along his career path, he probably graduated maybe Academy at West Point, maybe even attended a U.S. Army War College, but that's pretty much speaks nothing for today, because those people there also primarily have no clue what they're dealing with. But the problem is, here it is, just to show you, this is the attempts of the Ukrainian drone trying to intercept Russian Molniya drone, and as you can see yourself, but it's Ukrainian drone. It's drone either by Ukrainians themselves or by the West. As you can see yourself, Molniya still successfully strikes, Russian Molniya drone strikes the one of the vehicles of the armed forces of Ukraine, and that's it. But if you look attentively at the process of the development of the anti-drone warfare, you already can see yourself what is happening in terms of the in terms of this track, if you wish, of the development of the military art in Russia. Technologically, there are anti-drones already in, not only in works, they are basically operating there constantly, and that's the result. I produced the data, I spoke about it last time. Basically, the effectiveness of the Ukrainian drones dropped to between 2 and 4%. It's pathetic effectiveness. So Russian drones, by the way, meanwhile, even light UAV drones reach 25%, and more complex drones up to 50%, especially the fiber optics. So is the United States Army ready for that? No. Will it be ready? No. And the reason, again, is that it's not that just that they will produce drones. This is not a single thing. You operate as a system. You fight as a system. You operate as the system of the systems. That's how you look up what system of the system is if you need to know what it is. I'm not going to be giving you the definition of it right now. And so this is how the real war is managed, including their total informational dominance. And many people ask, oh my God, what happened with Starlink 2 days ago? It absolutely just went out over Ukraine. Well, it's just a little bit, yeah, maybe an accident or coincidence, who knows. Russians also launched some satellites 2 days ago. So just make your own conclusions. And many people have to understand that NATO lost everything. And militarily, technologically, when you look attentively, you constantly have this, what laments, oh, we're lagging behind here and there. Drones are just the part of it. Of course, they play an important role, nobody denies it, but in the end, does the United States have anything? I'm not talking about Europeans, they don't, and they will not. Do they have NATO? Does NATO have anything in terms of range of Zircon? No. Do they have supersonic? Forget about hypersonic. NATO doesn't have any hypersonic developments which even close to the initial operational capability. So do they have something like supersonic missiles? No. So what do they have? Well, they have a lot of planes. Many of them obsolete or not flying lame ducks, such as F-35. how good they are against the modern Air Force and modern air defense. Not very good. And so what are you going to do? Well, you lost the arms race. And then you have to admit to the fact that this is why the West also lost its dominance, which it had over 500 years. And Zapad 2025 is just merely the demonstration of this, that, yeah, Russians don't care. They will continue to do what they're doing. And the world just moved on. People just moving on. China, India, you name it, Brazil, so yeah. The West is not intimidating anybody. They still can kill civilians. They still can actually commit some sabotage and terrorist acts. But in terms of fighting war, truth is, as I already stated, it's 2025. How are you going to fight with the table of organization and equipment from 1990? You can't. Simple as that. And this is just the reality which don't. And that is why I think we see there's some kind of an encroachment, and there is a kind of line of the communications which is not through directly between Washington and Moscow, despite the fact that Washington and Moscow do discuss things behind the curtains, so to speak, but it is because of Belarus. Do you know that Belavia, the main airline of Belarus, had the sanctions lifted from it? That means what? Probably Minsk International Airport will return to its international status. So, and that means what? Some different types of the basically air travel. And yeah, it's a whole other story, but I'm not going to be going there. And so we have this today in terms of Zapad 2025. And what can I say? That's pretty much everything you need to have on display to understand that, yeah, the West has to resign to the fact that it is not as significant as it used to be, and the world simply moved on. And this is what I wanted to tell you guys today. And as always, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. Those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee too. That will allow me to continue to do what I'm doing. So guys, what can I say? Have a nice rest of the week, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.